10%. That's not bad. 10% as far as a return of investment, that's pretty good. Howdy y'all, Robert from Texas here, and the book I'm with today is 10% Happier. How I tamed the voices in my head, reduced stress without losing my edge, and found self-help that actually works. A true story by Dan Harris. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. Dan Harris. Do you guys know who Dan Harris is, by the way? I never made the connection. I didn't know who Dan Harris was, but he's quite famous, actually. He is, well, actually infamous for having an on-air panic attack during live TV. That's who Dan Harris is, because he was a television news reporter, and I never made the connection between Dan Harris, the name, and the face, to Dan Harris. So I didn't know what was going on. I had listened to the book first, the audio book. I got the book just so I can kind of show you guys the cover and all that. So he's kind of a celebrity. And what's kind of cool about Dan Harris is that he's not putting his picture on the cover of the book. So he's not selling his story. He's selling the information that's in the book, which is to demystify meditation. And maybe you pick up the book because you recognize the name Dan Harris and you want to learn about him. So he does start off the book, maybe about the first 2 or 3 chapters, talking about his life story, how he became a national TV news reporter working for ABC News. So he was a big shot. He wasn't a local news reporter guy. And I didn't know who he was until I saw a YouTube video regarding his panic attack that he had on live TV. Like, oh, I know who that guy is. I never knew his name, but I recognized the face. So Dan Harris is quite a celebrity, if you will. And again, I don't know if it was the publishers, editors, or somebody who didn't want to put his face on the cover, because a lot of times celebrities will do just that. They'll put the picture on the cover so that people will buy the book, they recognize the face, they want to say, hey, what's the story about here? What's going on here? And really, he's just trying to sell, or he's just trying to give you the information regarding meditation, which is really cool. So when I had gotten the audiobook, listening to it, that's what I was waiting for. I wanted to get right into the heart of the matter of meditation. I didn't know who Dan Harris was. I just wanted to learn about, hey, how did he really reduce the voices in his head? And how did this guy, get actual self-help? And so I was waiting for that kind of stuff to happen in the book. It took a little while because, again, the first 3 chapters were just kind of his life story. But it was also interesting, though, because he is kind of a funny guy. He's got a good writing style. I actually enjoyed learning about what goes on behind the scenes at a news station. And he's got quite a story. He was the wartime correspondent. He was out there in the middle of the war. He's also became the religious reporter. Whenever a religious type story broke out in the United States, he was the one that would be the man on the street, so to speak. And kind of all this leads up to is that he became infamous for having that on-air panic attack on TV. A live TV of all things too. And it was only, I think, 4 million people that actually saw this happen live. And when I saw the YouTube video, I actually didn't really pick up on that. Had you not told me that he was having a panic attack, I don't think I would have picked up on it. Yes, something was going on right there, but I don't know if I would have been paying attention. He's quite the professional. It looked pretty good to me, actually. Something was bugging him, but I didn't realize that's what was going on. He talks about it in the book, what was going on through his head right at that moment, and it's like, wow, that's kind of amazing. But he went through that, because what was going on at that time is that he, after all his war stories that he had done, he was diagnosed with depression, but he was self-medicating himself by doing drugs, we learned all the drugs that he was doing in the book, and he was still able to maintain his job and do what he had to get done, despite the fact that he had kind of a drug addiction. He was starting to become a drug addict, I guess you could say, right? And we learned about how he's also got a chance to meet Eckhart Tolle, who's, I don't know how you would describe Eckhart Tolle. He's, I guess, a spiritual leader, a spiritual guru, maybe? Yeah, a spiritual leader. And how Dan Harris had read one of Eckhart Tolle's books, and he had read the book A New Earth, and he read it 3 times in a row, right back to back. And he got to meet Eckhart Tolle, and he was actually fascinated with the information that Eckhart Tolle was expressing, how it was all about ego and all those things that Dan Harris was working with, was trying to get over with. Eckhart Tolle was really speaking to him. He was fascinated by all that and he liked it. But at the same time, Eckhart Tolle was a little bit too much of, a little bit too out there for him, for Dan Harris, a little too mystical for him. And because Dan Harris is a skeptic, he's kind of a practical guy. He doesn't believe in God. He's an agnostic. So anything that has to do with kind of like spirituality, that kind of just didn't fit with him. It was just too much for him. He didn't really fall into that. He didn't really like that, even though he still liked the information that Eckhart Tolle was expressing. He gets to meet Deepak Chopra. He gets to meet other religious leaders, and he's just not on board with what they have to say 100% because he can't get past. To me, he can't get past all that mysticism that's going on in relation to what he wants to learn about meditation. And he gets to meet, actually, finally, with a psychiatrist, a doctor of psychiatry, who is also a practicing Buddhist. And I think that's when he starts to learn some real benefits about meditation. Even though he had already gotten some really good instruction on how to deal with his inner demons, if you will, because of how to think differently and how to act differently. But it wasn't until he started meditating that he started to see benefit from that. And he started off slow. He started off with just, I believe, 5 to 10 minutes just meditating. And we don't learn how he meditated because there really is so many different meditation processes out there, different ways to meditate, and different styles of meditation, if you will. So we don't learn, although he does have a Buddhist spin on it, right? Because we learn that he is into a mindfulness meditation. And so what he's essentially doing is he's just sitting and he's focusing on his breaths. In, out. And he's dealing with his mind and how, what the book calls it, or what in Buddhist terms it's called the monkey mind, which fits his personality well, he says, because you're sitting there and he's battling all these different thoughts that are coming into his mind, and he's able to appreciate all that eventually, because that's the whole process of meditation. Just sitting there, focusing on your breath, and always, I guess I don't want to say fighting, but acknowledging these thoughts that are going into your head, letting them come in, letting them go out, and going back to your breathing. And it's that constant battle of just got to get back to the breathing. And that's what, to me, what was like the main aspect of meditation as far as related to Dan Harris's book. So that's kind of neat. I enjoy his one-liners, how his journey into meditation was comical, it was funny. And the thing too was kind of cool. He was actually really consistent with his meditation practice of just 10 minutes a day. And he also finally ended up going to a retreat, a spirituality retreat, or a spirituality seminar. I don't know how you say it. But he was out there for, I believe, 10 days or more. And that's kind of cool. A whole chapter dedicated to what happens in a spirituality retreat and how he actually ended up liking it, being there. Even though, despite the fact that still some of the aspects of it were just a little bit too weird for him, a little bit too out there. As far as spirituality is concerned, that's not his thing. He was not into that. He couldn't really fall for it. But he ended up really liking the whole entire experience of being at that retreat. So that was kind of fun. He continues with his practice. He continues learning about meditation. He gets excited about having to, or getting the chance to teach his coworkers or express to his coworkers what he's going through in regards to meditation. And people around him start to notice how he's actually kind of a different person. He's less of a jerk, you know. I think that's what he calls himself. He's less of a jerk. So I'm not calling him a jerk at all by any chance. And so he does see the benefits of meditation. He gets excited about it, and he also learns how to use that to his advantage, because he did have a concern about losing his edge, because how competitive the news business is. He was a little bit concerned about how he wasn't going to be able to be always on demand or be on task with the things that he has to do, because he felt that maybe all this meditation was going to make him a softie, which is not the case at all. What happens with meditation, and meditation is different for everybody, but we learn that meditation is not about reacting to things. I think the example in the book was someone cuts you off on the freeway and maybe you react quickly where you get mad and angry. And instead of reacting in that manner, like automatically what happens is that through practice, you learn to respond to and is that semantics? I don't know, because it really, you're seeing the person cutting you off just for what it is. The person cut you off. There's no quick reaction to it. You're not going to get mad. You don't have to react in any sour way. You're just seeing it for what it is. The person cut you off, and you go back about your day. And so that's kind of like what one of the benefits he expresses in his book about how meditation can be you responding to things instead of reacting to things, and also helping you to be calm. He talks about how right before a news segment, he's able to center himself, take those deep breaths, really be in the moment, and not be so concerned about the stress that's going on right at that moment, because he's centered. He's taking those deep breaths. He's noticing everything, and with practice, he gets better and better at it. And we learned about how he wanted to write a book called 10% Happier, how it's now become a whole company, it's become a whole industry for him, because he wrote another book after this one related to meditation, and he also has, I believe, a whole app out there and a whole website, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's related to 10% Happier, and we learned how he came across the title 10% Happier. And guys, it's a good book. I actually enjoyed this book. Again, just be forewarned that if you are looking for something specifically about meditation, it's not going to jump right into it, because Dan Harris is a celebrity. Maybe that's why people gravitate towards the book, because hey, they want to learn about his story because they see him on TV. What's Dan Harris all about? But again, he's not selling his story necessarily, because his picture's not on the cover of the book, right? And he's just selling the information regarding meditation. What's kind of cool about the book is, too, at the very end, the appendix, he goes into more detail as to what meditation is. People ask him questions. There's a frequently asked questions section. There's more insight into what meditation is and how to deal with your thoughts, how to deal with if you have to scratch your nose, what do you do? And I think that's kind of what I was expecting from the book. From the very beginning. I guess I expected the whole book to be just about those kinds of matters, because again, I did not know who Dan Harris was, and I didn't know what this book was about, and then it was meditation. I didn't know it was about him. So at the end of the book, read the whole book all the way to the end. That's kind of a cool thing. He even shares other information, other books related to Buddhism and meditation that you might find interesting. I will plan to go check those out as well. You guys, a good read. I recommend it. Not very thick, not very bad, and he's got a funny style of writing. I think you guys will appreciate this. And you guys, if you guys are interested in meditation, please let me know in the comment section below. Do you guys meditate regularly? Is that something you want to start? If it is, check out the book. I think it's a good read to help you understand more about what meditation is all about. Okay, you guys, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And I hope you're all having a good day, and I mean that. And we'll talk later. Bye for now.